Okay guys, JH, the rain has held off. Okay, now a little bit more on the other day with the importance of do exactly the same thing every time. Now I know there are people out there that think they have to develop a feel to play golf and play by a feel. Well, you can do that, guys, but I'll tell you what the reality of that is that feel most of the time is not real, and feel is finicky. It's going to change every day. Now, how can you develop and pull up and call up a feel that you had yesterday when you're hitting the ball great? Because today your physiology is different, and even, you know, everything, the tension factors and receptors in your nerves, they're all different today. They're feeling different. So your feel per se is not going to be the same. So I don't think it's realistically possible that you can play by feel. Now I've played with some really good field players that didn't know anything about technique and never wanted to, and they were guys I played with a lot. And when they were hitting the ball, they were hitting it great. And when they were hitting it bad, they were hitting it awful. And they never knew when they were going to hit it bad. All they would say is, I don't have the feel today. And that was it. That was the end of the round. That could happen on the first hole, and it was just like, give me the money. It was just easy pickings. But they were great ball strikers when they were on. But they could go a month and go, oh, I've lost the feel, I've lost the feel. I'm talking about really good players. Because you can't replicate a feel. But what you can do is replicate a protocol, if you apply yourself to replicating a protocol. And a protocol is your pre-shot routine, whatever that is. Now, the point I had to make the other day, and I didn't make it as well as I should, and one of the guys on the channel who's a pretty good player and has written a book himself, Tom Slagle. How are you, buddy? If you're there. Now he's a really good analyst of a golf swing, and he's got a book out there, and it's an ebook. I don't know what it is. I've asked him to give us some information on it, but Thomas is a real student of the game, and he can swing it good, and he knows a lot about the golf swing. But he said, what I said the other day, I think even I confused him. What I was saying about a protocol is that it's not a specific set of mechanics or movements. It's a specific set of something, whatever it is, and it's your something. It's what you do when you're hitting the ball well. And that's all we have to do, guys. What we have to do is work out what we're doing when we hit the ball well. Now, the only way we'll ever work that out is if we take the time and apply the diligence when we're practicing and we're hitting the ball good to find out what we're doing. And that's a lot of trial and error. But when you've got it, whatever it is, it's usually a sequence of applying this to your address position in relation to your body getting set before, or just even in the phase of igniting the golf swing, the ignition move. But whatever that stuff is for you, and however you do it, whatever the mechanics or the motions or the movements are, and they are movements and they are mechanics, they have to be coordinated exactly the same every time. Whatever they are. Whatever they are specifically to you. They're not like, the point I made the other day about, I said, you know, Count Yogi protocol was the best it's ever been. And the timing was millisecond perfect. But that was Yogi's. What he did was what he did. What Count Yogi did was what Count Yogi did. Don't expect you guys to do that. If you could, I want to see it. And I want to know how you did it. I've never been able to do it. But he had a process where it called it a infallible mental routine, and it is, guys. That's basically what happens. Is if you work out your protocol and what you do consistently in sequence, And in an absolute sequence, whatever it is, the setup here, whatever it is, you know, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, whatever it is, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter, but whatever those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s are, they've got to be exactly the same every time. And that 1 in the sequence has to relate back and replicate what the real number 1 is. You don't want to have a number 1 that's not a real number 1, or a number 2 that's not a number 2. It's got to be the reality of the correct protocol. And the simplicity is, guys, at the end of the day, if you have a correct protocol and you apply it, and you're hitting good shots, there's no reason why you can't come back an hour later, half an hour, or a day later, or a week later, and apply the same protocol and hit the same shots. If you hit the ball badly, it's only because you're not applying what you did before. It's that simple. And what you did before is your protocol. But you've got to understand it. And it's not a feeling, guys. You might get here and you say, oh yeah, I'm feeling, you know, I'm just cocking this here, just shutting that blade a little bit, or I'm rolling here, I'm getting a little bit of tension here. Oh, that's great. I promise you, those feels will never, ever be the same. And they never have been. And that's why they called Hogan the mechanical man. Because he worked everything out down to an absolute, finite, mechanical, sequential application. I mean, he did everything the same. He absolutely did everything the same. As did Mo Norman. Mo Norman's protocol was just extraordinary. I mean, it was absolutely the same. If you saw Mo swing and you overlaid 100 different swings, all got the same swing. Because the timing of the protocol was the same. The actual mechanics of the protocol were the same. Now, Mo said that he used to really feel his golf swing. Now, in conjunction with feeling his golf swing, I think he was, it might have been unconscious in terms of the application, but I know that he knew the mechanics of it. Absolutely knew the mechanics of it. Because he used to talk to us about it. And so the application of those mechanics in his protocol initially were always there, and you could see it. It was everything was exactly the same. It was the head move, everything was the same. Just the shot, everything was the same. And when people struggle with their golf swing, it's not the same. And yet they'll even say that, oh, it doesn't feel the same. Can't feel the same, guys, because you're not doing the same. So what I'm saying is that I think it's futile. It's not futile, but I just think it's really tough to think that you're going to swing consistently by way of a feel. One of the greatest players of all time, the reason he fell from grace and just couldn't actually swing the club anymore was because he was the quintessential example of that, and that was Seve Ballesteros. And the first time I met him in 1986, and I watched him hit balls and spoke to him, and after I'd seen it, the guy said, what do you think? I said, it's unbelievable, best ball striker I've ever seen. But I said, he's got one problem. He knows nothing about his golf swing. Absolutely nothing. He plays purely by feel. He knew the feel. Okay, he was wild, and not every day did he have it, but most of the time he did. He's one of the few people that could play by feel. But he had no idea what the mechanics were that created the feel. And I actually said to the guys there that day, if they were here today, they'd backed it up, that the day this guy loses the feel for his golf swing, that's the end of him. And that's what happened. We saw it. It was so sad to see him walking around asking everybody that walked by him, to say, what do you see in Seve's swing? You see something? What do you think? He'd ask anybody. He'd ask the guy driving the track, anybody. And that farcical thing where he went to Mac O'Grady, and Mac O'Grady took pictures of him, the swing, and then got all the pictures together and burnt them and put the ashes and buried them and said, well, there goes, that's the end of the old swing, we've just buried it. I mean, that's what Seve was subjected to, stuff like that. And that's because he had no idea. He would go to anybody, he was so desperate. So guys, if it can happen to one of the greatest players, and I rate him in the top 5 of all time, as a ball striker, I've never seen anybody better. As an actual ball striker. So, and I never saw Count Yogi, and I saw Mo. Mo was fantastic in terms of accuracy and putting it on the ball, but you know, the way that Seve could still get the impact and the compression, but when moving the ball, that was the thing that impressed me. He had exactly the same. There were no mishits when he was moving the ball. Yeah, so it can happen to him, guys. It can happen to anybody. So what I'm saying is, yep, if you want to play by feel, good. I mean, I just think it's hard. So try and build something that you can rely on, and something that is repeatable, and that is a program, a set configuration of something, whatever it is. Whatever your configuration is, your something, that's yours. But it's got to be the same application of that something every time you hit the golf ball. It's just got to be that, guys. And everybody's done it differently. I mean, Hogan did it differently. I mean, but he was absolutely that way. He was a mechanical man. Jimmy Demaret said that, you know, like, he said that Hogan could be working, and I think Jackie Burke said Hogan could be working on 50 things in a week, 50 different things. And that guy, that young guy that asked him said, "Do you think about this on the backswing, Mr. Hogan?" And Hogan just looked at him with that vacant stare of his and said, "I think about everything, Sonny." Just like that, I think about everything. There's no question he did. And you wouldn't see Hogan start to swing till he was ready. And Jack Nicklaus was exactly the same. Jack and Hogan, unbelievable in terms of their application of the protocol. So whatever your protocol is, Jack's was different to Hogan's. Hogan's was different to Mo's. Count Yogi's was different to all of them. But they knew exactly what those mechanics were and what that sequence of application was. And that's why they were able to play consistently for a long time. And hit the ball consistently for a long time. Okay guys, that's not a sermon from the mount, but I think it's just got merit, and it's logical. If you think you can control your physiology and you can have the feel and replicate it, great. I can't do it. I don't know anyone that ever has. That's all I could say on that. And to use the Forrest Gump line, that's all I have to say about that. Because really, that's it in a nutshell. But I know that you can control something that you know, especially if you number it. If you number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, you just know what's number 1, what's number 2, 3, 4, 5. And if they're not there, you don't start the golf swing. So where's 4 gone? What is 4? Oh yeah, I remember 4. But if you haven't got that sequence, guys, and do that before you hit the ball when you practice. If you haven't got that there, don't hit it. So where's it gone? Oh, I remember where it is. Okay guys, just as I say, it's a bit of a sermon, but I just think it's got so much merit. And I'm doing it with channel lock. And when I come out here dead cold, when I apply the protocol, and with channel lock it is different. So I don't get bombarded with old conventional golf swing thoughts or protocols, because they're so different to channel lock. I just don't have those. Cool. All right, now I'm dead cold now, and I've actually got quite a sore back from doing some crazy stuff in the gym in the last couple of days. So let's just see if I can hit it dead cold with the protocol. That's not bad. And that swing is really stiff, guys. That is really stiff. Okay, right foot down, guys. Trail foot. It's just so easy. As I say, my bad shot will be, even Mo Norman said, I don't hit it in the middle of the club all the time. I might, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th groove it. It's always on the blade, and the blade's always going where I want it to go, but it might be up and down the blade a little bit. And that's good. The first one was a little skinny, probably a 3rd groove, still be on the green. See if we can get a really push back JH and really drive into that trail foot. It's perfect. Okay, just lift it up a little bit because I'm stiff. But that's the benefit of the protocol, guys. Apply the protocol and the swing will repeat itself. Okay guys, I think that rain's coming in. But this is just reinforcing. I did a lot of this the other day, but I think the more you can see of it, and the more it'll sort of come in and maybe just start to make a little difference and a little bit of sense. Once you get a protocol working, you'll know what I mean. So wow, that's easy to apply. Okay guys, we'll do some more later.